Choosing a bottled Starbucks Frappuccino drink that's all flavor and just 100 calories? Easy. Choosing between creamy vanilla, double chocolate, and sea salt caramel flavors? A little harder. Try the delicious new Starbucks Frappuccino light drinks. Look for them wherever you buy groceries. Start with Starbucks coffee.
At Blinds.com, it's not just about window treatments. It's about you, your style, your space, your way. Whether you DIY or want the pros to handle it all, you'll have the confidence of knowing it's done right. From free expert design help to our 100% satisfaction guarantee, everything we do is made to fit your life and your windows. Because at Blinds.com, the only thing we treat better than windows is you. Visit Blinds.com now for up to 45% off site-wide, plus a professional measure at no cost. Rules and restrictions apply.
The Judge Janine Pirro, Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday Morning Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Okay, let's bring in our second MVP guest, Mark Halpern. He was great, wasn't he? Well, we're going to do even better here, perhaps. This is David Bozell, of course, the president of the Media Research Center, and reportedly a great guy and stunningly handsome. No, actually, I know this. I've met David many times, and I could say this is not fake news, David.
Not fake news. Let's beat Halpern. Let's make better radio than Halpern.
All right, done deal. So let's go into. I mean, you guys do the best work as far as these studies that you do. Curtis Houck, who did this one earlier this week, as far as the major networks giving 1,000 times more coverage to the Russia probe than the Gabbard bombshell. I mean, 1,000 more coverage, and one was. Basically gossip that was presented as gospel, and Gabbard has actual documents. And my question to you, David, is can this thing, as far as the Gabbard investigation and the DOJ into Brennan and Clapper and even Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, all these players that clearly tried to manipulate intelligence to make sure that Donald Trump wasn't elected, and then after he was, then to hinder his administration, hinder is probably a very soft word, for 3 years basically was a complete distraction from what Trump was trying to get done. If the media is going to go about it this way, then can this thing really take off?
Well, I'm gonna steal from the great Jonathan Turley, and I don't know if I can say it any better than what he suggested on Thursday night on Fox News. If the media were to cover this, they would have to admit their own culpability and their own complicity.
That's a great point.
In this whole scandal. Like Curtis has reported at MRC, 1,000 times more coverage for the original quote-unquote scandal, air quotes, versus 2 minutes of coverage on Tulsi's revelations. 2,284 minutes that these guys devoted to concocting this ruse against President Trump. Now, when President Trump gets on the dais and he says to the American people that the media behind them, in the rows behind them, are the enemy of the people, this is what he's talking about. This is the scandal right here, that what he's talking about, because he knew that what they were reporting for over 2,000 minutes was a bold-faced lie. He knew that there was no way that Russia interfered with his election with using $87,000 in Facebook ads. He knew that everyone behind his rallies, all the media that were standing behind his rallies, reporting this day after day after day, were lying through their teeth. But I think this is why he just doesn't have, doesn't have any respect for the media. But when he calls them the enemy of the people and the media respond, that's over the top. But then he's looking at the totality of the coverage of a lie. You can't blame him when he suggests that. So will this get to that level? It will have to take the media owning what they did. And I don't think that it will. Now, I just suspect, I don't know if President Obama, Joe, I think President Obama, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm going to go on a limb and suggest that he enjoys the same level of immunity that President Trump enjoys. But I think there could be the mother of all defamation lawsuits in this country. From President Trump to President Obama. If I'm President Trump, I'm considering doing that.
That might be the only way to go at this point. And alternative media, though, and we're talking to David Bozell, the president of the Media Research Center. Great news website is newsbusters.org if you want to read the type of studies that we're talking about and analysis as far as the media that David Bozell just described. At least with alternative media now, almost seemingly more trusted and more viewed, whether it be social media, whether it be podcasts, whether it be, I can't say Fox is alternative media per se, but at least we try to pursue these stories with the vigor that they deserve. Perhaps that will turn up the heat here as well. I'll share with you two stats just to kind of underscore what you were just saying, David. Gallup had a poll out about 2 years ago, and it found that 83% of the American people believe the media exists not to inform the country, but to divide the country. And boy, that is so true. But this is the telling poll that I want to show with you. This was from YouGov. It was in 2018, and they asked, do you think that Russia not only interfered with the 2016 election, but changed vote totals? And 80% of Democrats believed, forget the Russians and $87,000 worth of Facebook ads, like literally went into voting machines and changed votes for Donald Trump. So mission accomplished, I guess. And that's the impact here. When we say the media doesn't have any influence, I think they have less influence, but they do have influence over Democratic voters.
What was the number on the Republicans? Do you have that in front of you? I'd be kind of curious.
Oh, as far as Russia changing vote totals in 2016?
Yeah. If 80% of Democrats believed it, what's the percentage?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, they only polled Democrats, so either 80% believed it or 20% said no, they didn't change vote totals. So that's a stunning number.
It's just, I actually think it's kind of low.
Yeah, you're right. You think around 99 or so.
Every Democrat I talked to are near unanimous that they believe it. So I think the 80% number is pretty low. Yeah, well, that goes to show you these networks still have power, right? Breitbart did a great analysis of President Trump had dipped in the polls in April when the tariffs were on again, off again. This is Trump 2.0. And then Breitbart did a very cool analysis, and they looked at at 5 polls. They aggregated them together, and they looked at the voter demographics in 10-year intervals. So 18 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, and so on and so forth. In every single demo, President Trump was either neutral or plus since the inauguration.
Wow!
Except for plus 70 or more seasoned listeners. They had a negative 14 point approval rating for President Trump. Negative 14.
Wow.
What's the reason for that? I think our seasoned voters are doom watching CNN, MSNBC all day long, and then come nighttime, they turn on their favorite network evening newscast and doom watch that, and then maybe they'll get around to watching a movie, and all day, every day. Across the board, and MRC just did a study about late night television as well. It's just total blackout of conservative guests. It's just one liberal after another, dogging the president. So I think that's how you get 80% Democrats believing that Russia, right? Everything they watch is telling them to believe it.
Yep, groupthink, I believe, is how Tucker Carlson puts it. I saw that one study that the MRC did, David, where leading up to the 2024 election, Colbert had something like 161 Democratic either lawmakers or left-leaning celebrities on, and then they had then they had one Republican on. I'm like, who could that one Republican be? And of course, it was Liz Cheney, who
right.
I don't know if we can put her the R next to her name when she's campaigning with Kamala Harris.
That's right. I mean, look, we're old enough to remember the Late Show with Letterman. You could get lost on YouTube for an entire day watching great old bits from Letterman. And I can't remember a single comedic bit that Colbert did that he was responsible for, other than the cringe ones when he did the vaccination sing-along.
Vaccine, yeah.
Or when he had Jon Stewart on to essentially goof on him that COVID was orchestrated out of Wuhan. But those weren't bits. I mean, Letterman had bits that crossed party lines and made fun of both sides, and then stupid human pet tricks and goofy stuff like that. Colbert would have Cory Booker on every other night. I mean, who wants to watch that guy?
Yeah.
And who wants to watch Tammy Duckworth every other night? Who wants to watch Liz Cheney every other night? So if you're going to plant your flag as just another left-wing show with left-wing guests catering to a left-wing audience, don't be surprised when the company that pays your bills and that, $40 million worth of bills says, nope, and the ratings were terrible. You can't be surprised that he got canceled. So it's too bad. I liked his bit when he was goofing on conservatives from the right on Comedy Central. That was good. That was funny. He was obviously playing a character, and maybe he just didn't want to do that for the rest of his life. And I respect him for making the change, for giving him the old college try. But Comedy Central Colbert was much funnier.
Oh yeah,
than CBS.
Yeah, somebody else who ran, David, in 2020 was Eric Swalwell. And apparently he could bench press, get this, a whole 135 pounds 10 times, which I could do basically in 7th grade. So let's hear Eric Swalwell. You can't play this clip enough. This is cut one. Go.
I should be working right now. I should be at the Capitol. I should be in a suit. Instead, Republicans sent us home because they would rather stand up for Donald Trump than release the Epstein files and stand up for victims. We could be at Washington, D.C., lowering your healthcare costs, lowering your grocery costs, and restoring your rights. I should be working right now. Instead, I'm pumping iron at the gym.
I think social media, David Bozell, is the worst thing that ever happened to Democrats, because some poor intern had to film Eric Swalwell lifting that very relatively light weight from above, and they put these videos out, and they're so cringe that I would think that some sort of political advisor, if they could control it, would say, this is not a good idea. Don't put this out. You're going to be mocked to oblivion. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. So social media, if we're talking media, I think it is a net negative for Democrats, while Donald Trump obviously has turned it into the ultimate net positive.
They're just like the news. They're fake. I mean, look at him gasping for air, trying to get through his words.
Yeah.
How about Chuck Schumer? Putting cheese on uncooked hamburgers.
Oh yeah.
Celebrating, what was it? Juneteenth, 4th of July. I don't know which one, but I mean, speaking of Swallow, he goes viral for all the wrong reasons. I mean, pass gas on national television, everybody infrareded that, and everyone figured that one out. I mean, he could try to run for president, but that'll be his lasting image, the infrared of his tooth on national television. So I just, it's not authentic, Joe. I mean, look, Donald Trump is a lot of things. You can't accuse him of not being authentic. He will say what he means what he says, what's on his mind, and he shoots from the hip. Now, that could get him into some trouble, right? Sometimes it's ready, fire, aim, but people appreciate the authenticity. These guys are. I mean, how many takes did that take?
Probably
trying to
several.
Get through that.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so they're just not good at this. Now, and it's also, think of the advantage that the left has had over many, many decades. Right. They had these 3 networks. They had the Fairness Doctrine in the early 80s, right, on radio. And their worldview was the only worldview that the American public received. But when the Fairness Doctrine got lifted, in comes the great Rush Limbaugh.
Yep.
Conservatives taking over talk radio. Liberals tried. I think it was America's Voice, if I'm not mistaken, something. They tried their own liberal network. That failed. Following Rush Limbaugh, Fox News says, yeah, we can do this, right? We can start our own network, right? Fox News beats them at ratings every single hour of every single day by a country mile. So the balanced approach wins on cable news. The balanced right-wing approach, center-right approach wins on talk radio. Social media is really no different, Joe.
Yeah.
Obama used Facebook with weapons-grade precision in 2008, and then we can complain about how Romney approached the campaign back then, and how he approached digital.
Yep.
But then conservatives planted their flag. We figured it out, and now for better or worse, conservatism sort of dominates Facebook right now. And the same thing with X.
They're winning.
And for all his the flaws there, God bless Elon Musk for buying X. These are the biggest communication platforms that man has ever created, and the center right viewpoint dominates them all.
And the funny thing is that we see these reports now that Democrats are trying to find the next Joe Rogan. Guys, you had Joe Rogan. He was a Democrat that supported Bernie Sanders. Right. You can't just create this in some sort of lab, but that's where we're at. And unfortunately, they're telling me that we got to wrap now at this point, David. But, hey, I really appreciate you joining us once again. He is the new president of the Media Research Center, a great guy, and yes, he is stunningly handsome. David Bozell, enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
All right, my friend. Take care. All right, this is Joe Concha. This is the Judge Jeanine Tunnel for Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. We wrap this puppy up in just a moment.
The Judge Jeanine Pirro Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 350 plus programs at asuonline.asu.edu.